So I'm gonna walk you through a little bit of the process, and I will just say that, I came to this, like many of you will, as an oceanographer, very familiar with methods, not necessarily the terminology. This entire new language that is the data management world. Hawaii Ocean Time Series emerged during the JGOFS era, and so when I took over the program in 2018, we had the very same data management structure that we did in 1988. This was, I would say, quite before some of the vocabulary for the current data management exists. But what we do have is a good understanding of how we're making these measurements. And so the first step in this workshop was really communicating to one another exactly what we're doing. We have quite detailed, like many of you do, protocols for how we're making these measurements. We have a good understanding of how one would compare. For example, if you look at, this is a little cartoon of primary productivity measurements on the left and zooplankton measurements on the right. So for those that do this sort of work, you know that it matters if you collect it dark. Is the data dark corrected? Is it a 12-hour, 24-hour incubation? Is it incubated on deck versus in situ? And all of those nuances really matter to getting to the intercomparability component. Same thing with zooplankton. What sizes are you using? How are you measuring carbon and nitrogen? Are you speciesing? And so we took these methods and ultimately incorporated these into these various templates that we're going to go through next. And this part was a little bit foreign to many of us, which is the action, what part is the object, what is the subject of, what is the format of these templates. And like Heather mentioned earlier, many of these properties, particularly our biological variables that we measure, had no standard names. And so Fernando Pacheco and that works with the HOT program, formerly the BATS program, was the one that really worked to get some standard names included in the SIA terminology. So this is really, like Pierluigi has said, this is the sort of getting our house in order stage. And so we'll go through all these later. And maybe you will find yourself, much like I was, a bit confused as to which part is an action or an object. But certainly after doing this work, it's much more clear to us how these data are going to be ingested and how it will help in our operability and hopefully help people's interpretation of our data. So we selected a few templates. This is what we're going to do in our working groups. This is the metadata reporting for particulate fluxes from the Ocean Flux program. I know Ruth's on the line as well. And so, we take these methods that are fairly well documented within the programs and really parse them out into information that gets incorporated into these templates. So many of you who've made these measurements, there's lots of different ways to collect sinking particles, and those nuances can very much flavor the interpretation of that data. Another one, and chlorophyll, it should be easy, right? But is it HPLC? Is it extracted in acetone? Is it extracted in methanol? Is it just fluorescence? What are the units you're using? Is it mass normalized, volume normalized? Is it normalized to density? All of this is now mapped and incorporated in these standards. And then the last one didn't come through, but that's fine. So the other two examples that we have are primary productivity and zooplankton. And again, in this sense, there are some real differences between the various ways these measurements are made in time series, 13C versus 14C, other issues as well. And I think you'll see that these metadata templates really capture those differences. And that's what we were looking for in the nuances there.